Well, most times these stories write themselves. You know, things start off and you think they're gonna be one thing, but a lot of times they end up being another. When the last opportunity you get for somebody to do a story on you to say the spotlight is growing dim on Clark, you think it's kind of over.
Not at all.
Turn it up down here, man.
Underestimated and still I made it. In the book of hard knocks, I'm highly educated. Nobody told me looked over, but still dedicated. Played in the league for 13, I ain't gotta be favorite. 2 Super Bowls, Honolulu, I stood with the greatest. The thing is this, if never rich, I'm good with my neighbors. DB precision, television, ain't asked for no favors. Numbers don't lie, neither do pictures, just look in the papers. No backing down or turning back, part 2 of the movie. Never the biggest, but it takes more than 2 just to move me. Ain't gotta like what I'm saying, just watch me go to work. And tackle all of these topics right here on Face First.
Oh, look at Smoothie walk in too, though. Look at Smoothie walk in, my guy. Appreciate you, brother.
Of course. Appreciate to be here, bro.
Man. So, you know, we're doing it in a restaurant. Everybody, This is Dan Orlovsky. Obviously, you already know who the hell he is. So, are you gonna order food?
It smells good. I don't really eat breakfast or lunch. You know this.
Well, I heard they got dry chicken, asparagus,
ketchup?
No seasoning. You do, but you know. So listen, you know, ketchup's full of sugar, though.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm drowning it in ketchup. It's just like a little dip. I'm a dip guy, not a scoop guy. So.
Are you a double dipper, though?
Nah. Well, if it's for me,
it's just for you.
Yeah,
if it's just for you.
Yeah.
Just
but if it's just me.
So here's what's cool, bro. You're from Connecticut.
I am.
Right. You're a big star at ESPN now. Yeah, I said he's a big star at ESPN now. But how do you get to that point? It ain't like Connecticut's a hotbed for superstar football players, but y'all did have y'all had Jordan Reed. Played at Washington. He's from Connecticut.
Good tight
obviously. Aaron Hernandez is from here. It's like you. Is that the only 3 that's ever made it out of Connecticut?
I think we claim Steve Young a little bit. You know, he's from Greenwich, which is
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
down Greenwich. You know, his I think it's great-grandfather is Brigham Young.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
So I think we claim Steve. I don't know anybody else necessarily.
Is A.J. Dillon from here? Was
A.J. Dillon's from here. He went to like you know what? He might be from Mass and went to like a private school in Connecticut.
So A.J. Dillon must have rushed for 10,000 yards in high school here.
Yes, yeah. I mean, so high school, like I'm in a pocket called the Valley in Connecticut.
Okay. Is that like a bougie area?
No. This is like hard hat, you know. Like,
that's why you had your haircut like that when you was a kid. That just was trash, though. Your high school
dying blind. So like, but high school football in that area is good for Connecticut, right? The simplest way I put it is I was the biggest and fastest person on my offense in high school.
Fastest though?
Bruh. I ran, you know, in my senior year of high school, I was probably like legit 5'5".
Okay.
I didn't have a single receiver that was faster than that.
Right. How'd y'all create offense?
Guys got open, man. And again, the talent that we were playing against wasn't, you know, wasn't like the kids in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana era. And I was my biggest offensive player. Like I was 6'5", probably 195 pounds, 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So
you know what? You were a big quarterback anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
So you were kind of an anomaly here. Did any other schools other than Connecticut recruit you?
Oh, yeah. So I got offered from basically like everyone in the Big Ten. And then my recruiting story was I started getting recruited like back into sophomore year, junior year. Started to get letters from everybody. You know how that process goes. And
it's so different now too, man.
Yeah.
These kids don't even, because of Twitter, they don't even really get what we got.
What
like
recruiting
how excited you were when you
got a letter in the mail and hand signed. You know, I had no business to going to UConn, like no interest. I was like, I ain't going to UConn. I'm getting letters from Tennessee and Florida, and Steve Spurrier and Philip Fulmer and all these schools in the Big Ten. And so I initially committed to Michigan State. And then my junior year, they had this true freshman named Jeff Smoker that was lighting it up.
Okay.
I wanted to play early as a quarterback.
I remember Jeff Smoker.
Yep. And I was like, I ain't going to Michigan State. So that following week, I decommitted from Michigan State. I went to visit to Purdue. Loved Purdue. Drew Brees was actually my host.
Okay.
That Tuesday, I was calling Purdue that morning to commit to Purdue. Kyle Orton, and back then Rivals was like the only recruiting. Kyle Orton was like the number 4 recruit in the country. He committed that morning. So I was like, I ain't going to Purdue because I want to play. That following weekend, I took a visit to UVA, Virginia. Matt Schaub was my host. I was going to commit, and then I went to the meeting with the head coach, George Welch. He kept calling me Matt. I called my dad, and at that time, I kind of got over the recruiting process. It was annoying, and UConn had stayed on me. I was like, I'm just going to go to UConn. I called my dad. I was like, I'm going to UConn. Like,
Right.
This coach doesn't even know my name. And my father didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. He was mad. He thought I was like scared of competition
Right.
or whatnot. And I was
Right.
like, dude, you just got to trust that. That's my decision. So being from here and going to school there. And
Another thing too, like I think your dad has to, only one of y'all play. Like that's the difference
Right.
with quarterbacks. And like I remember like you saying all those names though, bro, kind of brings it back to me how good all these dudes were in college. Well, Matt Schaub was a good pro. Obviously, Drew Brees, one of the greatest of all time.
Right.
But a guy like Kyle Orton,
Really good player.
Kyle Orton is a really good player in college, but a good pro, not necessarily a great pro, but a good pro. And like you have all these dudes like deciding to go to certain schools, and sometimes your school picks you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so crazy. I work with Fred Taylor now, but my mom's a huge prayer, bro. And I didn't know what school I wanted to go. I wanted to go to Tennessee. The first thing she told me, she didn't look good in orange, and it was really far.
Okay.
Right? I was like, I guess I can't go there, Mom. And so now it's Arizona. Alabama got on me late, and so LSU. And then like Tulane, I went to a visit, but I wasn't going there. Dog, I go to sleep. My mom wants to have a prayer circle. That was her thing. We're gonna have a prayer circle. Me, my mom, my dad, right? So we have this prayer circle, bro. And that night, I have a dream that I'm on the sideline at LSU, right? And the people rush the field.
Prayers answered.
Right, the people rush the field. Wake up the next morning, bro. I commit, I walk in, I tell my head coach at high school, I'm going to LSU.
Yeah.
I call Jerry DiNardo, he's fired up. Freshman year, we're playing Florida. Florida's #1. Fred Taylor, I forget who the quarterback was, but we beat them 28-21, and everybody rushes the field. And it was like deja vu.
The dream.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, that was all right. So you go to UConn.
Yeah.
Obviously, did you play right away there?
No, like my second game into my freshman year. So I went to UConn mainly. The reason is I loved the head coach, and also like I just wanted to prove everybody wrong because they were transitioning into like 1A football back then, and everyone said you're crazy, you can't do it. And I just had gotten to that point where I'm gonna prove everybody wrong type of thing. So my first game ever was down at Lane Stadium, Virginia Tech, the year after Michael Vick left.
Right.
You remember the names? Kevin Jones, the tailback,
Kevin Jones,
Ryan Randall.
Yep.
So those were the two like superstar recruits. So that was my first game ever. We played down there. I played a little bit in that game, and then the following week, I ended up being the starter and kind of taking over from there.
So you started for the rest of the way?
Yeah.
Is that where you met Tiff? That's where you met your wife
No,
too?
I met my wife after college, my second year in the NFL.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. So what's that like? You know, you meet your wife, your second year in the NFL. You obviously trying to find. You get drafted with like fifth. Did you get drafted
Fifth
fifth
round,
round? You get drafted in the 5th round. So you're obviously trying to find your way. You're trying to become a starter because that's the goal.
Yeah.
For any quarterback,
Yeah.
you're trying to become a starter. What's it like? Meeting your girl, still working to become the starter, and I guess eventually moving in to start a family.
So, like, when I went to the league, I kind of had, like, a college girlfriend, whatever. We broke up, so this and that was, like, the worst thing in the world type of thing. And I remember I was with guys like, Mike Furry, who, receivers coach in the NFL, John Kitten and Josh McCown.
Yeah.
Those guys
Just were great dudes.
Yeah. I mean, such
sensational men.
incredible life mentors, but also, like, really good football mentors. And I remember sitting down with those guys and Kitna and our team chaplain, Dave Wilson, and Kit was like, I was talking about, like, I wanted to be a family man because those are the first, like, guys that I'd ever been around in my life that, like, were crazy competitive, like you and I are. Like, I want to be the best at everything I do and want to be super competitive, but also, like, enjoyed being a father and enjoyed being a husband. And it wasn't like, the ball and chain. So, like, that was the first time the imagery of that for me.
Seeing those things makes you want that. It makes you say, you know what, I can be this on the field, I can be this in my job, but also live a life that I can be proud of and respected of as well.
And joyful, and you're 100%. Like, I wanted that.
Yeah.
They were different. So, sitting down one day and Kitten was like, dude, write down whatever you want in a wife, physically, emotionally, spiritually, write it down. So write it down and just spend time praying on it.
Yeah.
And, it was the off season of my second year. I met Tiff, and I remember I saw her at a wedding from a kid that I played college football with. They went to high school together. We just happened to be at the same wedding.
Right.
I saw her at the reception. I turned around, my boy, Alfred Fincher, I was like, he played linebacker with me at school. I was like, I'm going to marry that girl.
So you went right over and shot your shot?
No. I didn't talk to her the whole night, bro. You should know me well.
Come on,
I don't got game like that.
Well, I figure at that point, though, you Dan Orlovsky, the quarterback. It's different.
I was a complete dork. So, like, we kicked it in a group setting the next day. My buddy got her number for me. Long story short, like, we talked every day for, like, the next 2 years.
That's awesome.
Didn't see each other because I lived in Michigan. She lived in Philly.
Right.
But I was growing up. Like, I had to stop being Peter Pan, and like grow up and do it right. And I was going to get married one time. And that world. So I met her. You know, it was like this weird journey because like I wanted to be the best husband and man, but also like wanted to try and be a starter in the NFL and trying to strive at both those things. And we ended up getting married in 2009, and then in 2011, basically, you know, I had the opportunity to play a little bit. The NFL like told me like, you're not a starter.
Right.
You know, like in free agency with the money, they said you're a backup.
Right.
You know, and that was kind of a turning point for a lot of parts of my life.
Yeah. So you get to that point, and so now you got triplets. Yeah. First off, bro, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Having triplets.
We had triplets in 2011.
Bro, I had one at a time. Though.
Yeah, man.
And they make you miserable some days. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't, you know, I was playing. Like, I had my babies young, so I'm playing, and my wife has to deal with these kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you get home, and she's like, well, Jordan did this, and Jaden did this.
And you're like...
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
She'll call me on the road and be like, and when you get home, you better get on them. And you know, man, we get home from a road game. It's Sunday night. I'm like, yo,
It's 10
this happened on Saturday.
Right,
I'm not going to wake these kids up and talk about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, that was the hard part of balancing ball and family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you know, I always, obviously, I follow you. And whether it's a Bible verse or whether it's something inspirational in the morning or just something about family, you always seem to make sure that you are not only living that way, but also sharing those things. How important is it for you to not just be a man that does ball, a man that does TV, but somebody who others from the outside can look at and say, okay, these are his priorities and the things that are important to him?
Yeah, I think it's probably the most important thing in my life.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. So I come from a broken home.
Okay.
You know, like my dad did a lot of really good things for me. Like he taught me work ethic and challenged me and perspective on a lot of things that are super important. But I came from a broken home. You know, I came from a home that, you know, I saw my dad get married and divorced like 5 times. Stepmom, step siblings, all that stuff.
Okay.
I didn't know my mother from the age of 1 on, you know, until I was like 22 years old. You know, and sports became everything in my home.
Bro, first off, I never knew any of this.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
So my parents split up when I was 1.
Okay.
And I've got 2 blood sisters. One of them at the age, so I had like visiting with my mom till like I was like 4 or 5 years old. I'd see her like once a month or something like that. I grew up like 10 minutes from where she lived. And it just wasn't like a healthy home, whatever, right? And then from the age of like 4 on, my mother and my oldest sister I never saw again. I lived with my father and my middle sister.
Okay.
And so like sports became my everything, you know, and it also became like my family's everything, you know. And so I don't recall as a kid ever moments, and I didn't really know this until I got older. I think I felt it and had emotion from it outwardly, but I didn't know this until I got older. Like I never felt like a kid. I never felt like loved, so to speak, unless it was performance with sports. You know,
right.
like,
So that makes you want to excel at sports, though.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you draw love to. That's what you draw accomplishment to.
Yeah, and that was great, and it drove me. And I think it had negative impact, some negative effects as I got older. Now, team sports saved me in that regard. So I know what it's like to have that feeling as a kid. I don't want my kids to ever feel that.
Right.
You know, I don't want my kids to ever have that feeling of like, well, my dad only is interested in this in me or only loves me because of this and this. And so that's why it
also puts pressure on those things, though. Like if you think this is the way I have to battle for love, then every time you do that certain thing, you associate it with that, which is unhealthy as well.
For sure.
Right.
And I think it's a focus point of mine to like, again, going back to like the Kitnas and Josh McCowns and Mike Furries, like those guys were able to do the both of it, you know, and that's what was so different to me about it and how they loved on their wife and it didn't make them soft.
Right.
And that I remember watching these kids because they had grown, I don't want to say grown kids, but like kids that weren't babies.
Right.
And I remember watching them embrace their kids and love on their kids and watching the impact it had. But then we would be basically dog cussing each other, not literally, but while we're competing with each other.
In your face, like
and so
aggressively.
And even to this day, I ask those guys for advice when it comes to like, how do you push? And I think I've talked to you about this and Marcus. Like, how did you guys get to the point where you pushed your kids in the things that they loved to be great at something while also not getting them to hate you or dislike you?
No, it's hard. It's hard, and I think you hit the nail on the head, though. You also saw them love on their kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I only have one son, and you know this, and as I know it, when you love something the way we love football, there's a certain purity and a certain level of effort you want to see your kids give to
doubt,
it.
dude.
Right? So the thing with me, with Jordan, was like, you either play it and play it the right way, or you don't play it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
You know, like that was like we could do basketball, baseball, soccer, all those things. But I know this, and there's a certain level, and there's a certain sense of work, a certain sense of pride you got to take in what you do with that. And so we would butt heads in that, and then we'd go eat and love on each other and hug and laugh. But that was the thing, and it was so cool. I just did something with him, and you know, they asked him a question about mindset, and he was like, "Well, in order to be elite, you got to have elite habits." Right. And it made me proud. And they were like, "Did you teach him that?"
Take you back in time.
Yeah. I was like, "Did you teach him that?" I was like, "Not really." I was like, "I've never said those words to him." I was like, "But that's the way I portrayed the work to him." And so I think, you know, listen to you talk about the things you saw in Kittner, the things you saw in McCown, and kind of wanting to emulate those things. Those aren't often things we hear about football players, right? You know what I'm saying? Like those aren't the stories that are told. And so, you know, you say what, 2000? They say 2011 was when you felt like, you know, you were football-wise, you were a backup, and things changed. Then when did you start planning for like the second act of your life then?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny, I didn't. I never started planning until the second act of life until like 2017, that fall.
But that was your last year, right?
Yeah, but I was subconsciously planning for it since I was in high school. So like I was a good athlete. You know, like I could pick up any ball and I was gonna be average at it, hand-eye coordination skill. I was pretty unathletic. I was 6'5", I ran a 6'2" in the 40, I couldn't jump at all. So like, I quickly learned in high school, like, dude, if you're going to do something with this, it ain't going to be because you're physical talent. You know, and so I learned how to not watch film, but study film. And so, like, studying film and studying defenses for 13 years in the league and, like, different offenses and how to get advantages. I went to UConn. We had to figure out ways to beat teams that were more talented than us, right? So, like, studying tape and I know what you're doing before you do it, so then it's advantage me. You know, and so I think I was getting prepped for this, the television, or at least the teaching football world, kind of like my football life career. But I'm a person who's like, I can't really think. I'm a big picture viewer, but I can't put my efforts into something unless I'm in it. You know, like, so when I was in football, man.
You were in football.
I was getting paid to play football. So that's where I was. And I was going to figure out the next thing because I could figure out the next thing. And then when I got done, I had some coaches call me and be like, I want you to come coach immediately. Coach Caldwell was one of those coaches.
I have a question. Do you think, and I don't mean to cut you off, Dan, do you think the life of a backup and having to be prepared at any instance without getting the type of repetition the starter gets is why a lot of backups become good coaches, or why a lot of coaches seek out backups to do that job? Yeah,
because I think as a backup, first of all, personality-wise, you got to bring value to the locker room. You know, your performance on the field usually doesn't matter because you're not going to get the opportunity. How do I get along with the 22-year-old who just got drafted, who's got $10 million, who wants to hang out in the city all night, and the 33-year-old who's at home with 4 kids? Like, how do I connect with both those guys at the same time? Because that matters. How do I get the third-string tight end to understand football who's as dumb as rocks? The same way our second-string tailback does, who's brilliant. You know, like, how do I get that communication and messaging and teaching and learning different ways to get people to see the same thing in a different aspect? So I think that certainly helps, like, guys get ready for coaching, and it definitely helped me in television, you know. And I think once I got done playing, you know, I got those coaches and I was like, I'm not ready to dive into the coaching world, you know, just because of the young family. And that's when I started to do stuff on social media, breaking tape down. Because that was like the first place I saw it. I had believed that people wanted that stuff. Like, I felt in my heart, because the more we know about something, the more we're interested in it, the more we're entertained by it. And I felt like the more people really learned about and knew football, the more that they would be appreciative of it, so to speak. And that's kind of what started that kind of process for me, you know? Yeah, so you started in 2018. Or 2000, so spring 18. So what did you sign on to do right out the gate, though? I did. So at ESPN, so I went through all the process, networks, I chose ESPN. I signed on to do, like, college football broadcasting, games-wise, and then, like, I think 50 studio days. And it was going to be like a could it be college, pro, whatever? Yeah, a little bit of, I did college football live, I did, you know, Get Up. Was 18 was the year Get Up really started, huh? Yeah. Or was it 19? No, I think it was like 17, maybe spring of 17, and then 18 was when Get Up was still a struggling property, I guess.
Yeah, and that's kind of when it changed from what the original thought was, and then they added all the analysts to the show.
Yep.
And shoot, that was to me where like I felt like, okay, like this dude has something, and it was different because no one had that type of passion for that part of the work.
Yeah.
And you know, we talk about all the time, like I love film, right? And now you know, and I will watch it, and I'm like, oh yeah, like that's exactly what's happening. And I think sometimes that's the thing I'm always looking for because I know when somebody's lying to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like I know when it's not cover 3. You know, I know when it's not too high. And I think the thing that you always did that was good, it wasn't so much about what I could draw as about what I can communicate.
100%.
You know what I mean?
That's always like that. That's kind of what my heart was in. You know, it's so like the genesis of it, I kind of talked about, but then as I got into it, it was so important to me. Like I love doing it. I do. And people often ask me like, have you like cured your competitive edge?
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about this, but like nothing makes me happier or brings me more joy when I find something on tape that someone else can't. Like I get, we do it on television a little bit. Like,
Bird, what's up, man?
You guys exist.
We still exist.
It's like, but I don't see you.
well, you know what it's like to be seen every day.
Yeah, you
for
know
like
what it
30
is,
years.
Back when you guys were playing. I was doing a thing on Andre Rison. Now, those were the days I was on every day. Bad one. How we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I rode the bike yesterday morning, and I heard it all.
Yeah, this is always good to see you, legend.
But Mondays are a good day to ride the bike and not listen to music. Turn on us.
Who's better than you?
Well, and I go back from like at 10 o'clock, so it's both shows, which are on both. It's like, can I get rid of these freaks?
Hey, Chris. Hey, Bird. It's the same show twice.
Yeah.
We just do the same show twice.
Yeah, 4 hours straight.
It's just a different look. It's like writing a paper for college. I was a history major, but sometimes you had the same stuff, but you boil it differently. Of course.
How can I say the same thing 3 different ways?
You think on Sunday night, so we do prime time.
Yeah.
You do prime time. Even now. Then I do the thing that runs on the pregame, but that's the plays of the day, but don't do
the halftime.
other than and then it's halftime. And then sometimes tape something else, your opinion on something, just look in the camera and say it. But you've done okay, but just let me hold on a minute. Because sometimes you like to regroup okay, so all the playoff stuff's ending, other than that game, which was unbelievable at the end. But it ends during our show. I don't know that the Niners would beat the Rams until I don't know. Well, yeah, but I can't. So what does that mean in the play? I haven't thought about it yet. I'm in the middle of doing a Seahawk.
For all about this game,
So hey, the more you can do, the more they keep.
Man, bro.
You're the best ever, man. Have a good one, Bird.
Happy playoff.
Thank you, brother. Good to see you.
Happy New Year.
Good to see you, bud.
Yes, sir. See?
Yeah, man.
Bristol, man.
Yeah.
You just never know. Hell, I don't even know where we were now.
I was talking about
talking about
tape.
touchscreens, right?
Yeah, like nothing brings me like that's my competitive fill in many ways.
Bro,
right now.
I wish people could see you before, right?
Yeah.
Like hopping around, like getting ready to go.
It's the closest thing I've had to being like in the game, like that juice, that flow, and it's live. You don't get the opportunity to do it 14 times. You get one shot.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. Like when you do a show on television, there's a lot of different ways because of the internet nowadays where people can come and intake what they're gonna, whatever. You get 38 minutes. Like I gotta be captivating and earn people's attention for 150 seconds, and I don't get that back if I mess it up.
Do you think do you feel the pressure of having been a backup quarterback, obviously having, I guess, the fame or the infamy of running out of the back of the end zone, and people always pointing to certain things like that when you are talking about quarterbacks, right? Because like even with me, I played 13 years, I made a Pro Bowl, I won a Super Bowl, but I'm not Troy Polamalu, right? I'm not Ed Reed. And so there's almost this need for people to diminish your knowledge or diminish your validity based on that, because they feel like we're talking about players that we can't do what they're doing. But in the other sense of it, I feel like your ability to dissect film and communicate the film takes it out of this is Dan Orlovsky.
Sure.
I'm telling you what the film said.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the amazing way you started doing TV and kind of what's propelled you to now being on NFL Live, being one of the big time guys on Get Up, having a day on First Take.
My thoughts on that are this. I see people criticize LeBron. If you're going to criticize LeBron, he's the...
You know, my dad's whole thing is, they didn't like Jesus.
Exactly.
You know
so, like, I ain't going to please everybody type of thing.
Right.
I'm conscious of that, and I tell people all the time, like, if that's your belief, it's my job to change your mind.
Okay.
Like, I got to be good enough to change your mind. And you got to be open-minded to kind of get that. And I just, you know me well enough. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that can do what I do.
What you got, brother?
This is what I meant to tell both of you. You can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with bullshit. 40 years.
Hey, I might have to get that on a shirt. Yeah, I know, right? That should be the boomer
I
t-shirt.
don't know if I invented it, but I'm proof.
I love it. Yes, sir.
You know what? Joe Judge, your favorite. You know, I saw that. I know. I love when one has a point that the other, especially Dan, it's such a pained look. Like if it's obviously on that
saying
show.
I'm dramatic.
On that show, you're supposed to. You say, I got this. I get it. Right?
Yeah.
TV is entertainment.
Yeah.
ESPN, right? So
It's a visual
but
medium
it's like
as well.
such a pained expression. Not
Well,
so much
this thing,
Ryan, because I was
especially
baffled with the bow tie.
When Dan's listening to BS, the expression is for sure pain. It's always like, he's always like, I don't know what the hell dude's talking about. Which I love, though, because we know immediately, let's go to Dan and get his
we
thought
got
on it.
something.
Yeah.
We got something.
It's like a pained expression.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that and you're saying it.
Yeah.
Expect nothing less from a valley guy.
Here we go. There's the valley.
The Valley, man, all the time.
I just don't think there's anybody in the world that can do what I do. I just don't.
I agree with that.
Football-wise, and I don't think there's anybody that's going to put the work in, and is that an egotistical comment? Yes. But I don't think there's anybody that's going to put that work in to figure out, okay, what's going on? How does it look? All that stuff. And I take a lot of pride in that, man.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, I think that's what, I came to you before the season and I was like, Dan, bro, we should do like duo touchscreens.
Yeah.
Like, we should do touchscreens together.
I was lukewarm with it.
I remember you was like, RC. But I got it though, too, from the sense of you put so much time into that and you do such a good job. And that's also what's become synonymous with your analysis, right? Like people know, yeah, he's gonna give us great thoughts, he's gonna give us great insight, but there's nobody who does what he does with the film. And I was like, bro, just give me a try. I was like, just trust me. Just because I've done it the last 4 years on SVP, and I had to do so much offense.
Right.
And I was like, and I can do offense, right? Obviously, I know how they're attacking. Sure. I don't know what was communicated in the meeting, though, right? What would have been communicated in the huddle. But I know that defensively. Right. And I was like, bro, I'm telling you, we do it. And so we do it the first week. And I remember you hit me up the next day, and you was like, hey, dog.
Yo, that was dope.
Yeah, he was like, this is all right.
And just the energy, nowadays we stand. So when you first came to me, I think it was like, like it was a little bit of like, this is mine.
I got that.
This is mine a little bit. And then I had to, I think you did a good job of like, I'm not getting me to trust you, but I trusted you and I said this, someone tweeted at me this morning because they were like, man, I think the cool thing is that Dan brings people in nowadays.
I saw somebody.
And I sent them back to me like, nah, this was an RC thing. And sports taught me that we is better than me, but RC taught me that at television. Yeah. I think one of the best things that's happened to me this year in my career when it comes to television is and I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but attaching myself to you in that regard. Mm-hmm. I think that segment has become it's such a big deal on a weekly basis for people, and it's made me better. Mm-hmm. You've taught me the whole, it's such a fine balance of trying to take the nerdy part of football and the X's and O's part of football
and make it fun
and entertaining.
Yeah.
And you taught me that this year, and so. I think it was a learning moment for me, certainly individualized moment, but the year is it's always better when it's we and us in different perspectives rather than single.
Well, I think the other piece of it is that TV, at least what we've had the ability to do, right? When you think NFL Live, you go Get Up. Shoot, we've hosted First Take the last 3 or 4 Mondays. I think what we've learned to do is that you got to embrace differences. Yeah. And you can only embrace differences when you respect people. Remember, the first Tuesday, we had NFL Live, which was something we begged for.
Right.
The whole
to get 5 people on
the whole
set.
season, we was like, dog, we promised we could do it. And I remember being a little nervous day one because I was like, man, if we F this up, right? Like if the time, because what I never wanted them to do was to say, okay, this segment, Ryan, you're off.
Yeah.
This segment, Dan, you're off.
Right.
I was like, I don't want them to have to squeeze us in. And I remember we did the first segment and I go, and you was like, man, that was good, man. I was like, it's because we respect each other.
Yep.
And I think that respect has to grow because it's funny. I think back to your first year when you slapped me at the Super Bowl, right? So I was pissed, I ain't gonna lie, bro. And it was so funny. I remember when you did it, I kind of just ate it, pause, on screen, right?
We were on site.
We were
down in
Super Bowl.
Miami.
We're in Super Bowl,
Yeah.
and they was like, and they telling me, RC, run over, right? So I run over, and I'm talking to you with my hands, and you slap my hand. And I remember my first thought was like, I'm about to punch the piss out of that, right? And so I remember going back to the hotel, dog, and it just eating at me. I was like, he freaking slapped me
On television.
Yeah.
And we didn't know each other that well at this point.
Remember, we had never worked with each other.
Right.
I would see you in the cafeteria on Sundays when we watch games, but we didn't really know each other at that time. And that was also, too, though, I was trying to battle my ego.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was like, I know he wasn't trying to fight me. Like, I know it wasn't those things. And I was like, man, like, if we're ever going to be cool, just because I know how I am, I was like, I got to tell him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just got to just tell him how I feel. And I remember Marcus like, nah, man, Dio's cool. I was like, I know he's cool, Marcus.
Right.
I was like, but if I let this sit on my heart, the next thing he does, I'm going to go nuts.
It's going to be bad. Yeah,
and so I think it was like those conversations and...
You confronted me over it.
Yeah.
You told me next time I ever do that to you on television, television, you're going to punch me.
Yeah. What I'm saying, though, I think, though, it's those conversations to me, it was your humility and understanding, all right, RC, like, I feel you.
Yeah.
And it not being like this, and then kind of having an opportunity to grow from that, and then watching you work and the way that you do care for the people you work with.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, to me, and I've done this, I did it 2 years when I played, bro. I did it 6 years afterwards. This has been the biggest year of growth for me.
Yeah.
I feel like that I've grown a lot just because we've had opportunities to work together.
Well, so back to that moment, I think one of my favorite qualities in a human being is like a person who can be themselves all the time, like not pretend. And then I love conflict because I think you grow from conflict.
Only dad would love conflict.
Well, when you called me, it was good for me because I think in that moment, even in life, I felt like, well, everybody is going to be like me, so to speak. Like I wanted everyone to be like me. And I think when I did that to you, like I learned, well, not everyone's like you, Dan. Like you can't do that to just anybody.
Right.
You got to earn that from someone. You got to earn that relationship.
Like if you did it now, I'd bust out laughing.
For sure. You got to earn that relationship and whatnot. But that was a good growing moment for me. And I agree. Like I've learned so much about myself and not only like you guys that we work with every day, but through you guys about a lot of different people. I mean, I was a kid, I've said this to you guys, like I was a kid that grew up in a predominantly white area. And I didn't spend a lot of time up until college with people who didn't look like me.
Right.
And I've had so many conversations with you and Marcus about that, like about like people who don't look like me, people who didn't grow up like me.
Yep.
I think it was a pivotal growing moment for me as a person, in that moment and also this year, but also on television, like you said it that week, that the respect thing, I think it is the number one differing factor, and I'd say this again pridefully, with NFL Live and so much of what is on. It's like the respect that we have for each other, and what you said was the respect that we have to listen to one another.
Yeah.
Because we're actually interested in what the other person's going to say, I think was so big.
Well, and I think the other part that has been beautiful about what we've been able to do this year is that the respect has been born from communication, though. Right? Because I know what you're doing all the time. Like, I know that you're studying film. I know that you're watching film. I know that you might ask the question, IRC, what do you think's happening here? Or we ask Marcus, up front, what's going on? Or Mina gives us numbers. Or Laura just tells us about freaking actual TV. Right? And so there's been so much growth and synergy there, but it's also like, this person respects me. Yeah. I respect them. And on the other side, I want to see y'all win. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that we all root for one another, right? Like we have learned, like, and I've always felt this way. Dan's greatness doesn't take away from mine.
I've learned that this year, though.
Really?
Oh yeah. That was a struggle for me, like, because again, the ego is part of it. this is mine, the part of it. I want me. And that's why I said into that tweet, like, RC has taught me that we is better than me this year, is because when you see, it's almost like in sports you hear it too. Like in team sports, we always heard individual awards become from team success.
Yes.
Like, I've realized that the better our show does, the more that it allows each person to be, filled with the pride of the moment.
Yeah.
I think also to this, RC, like, if I'm not sitting there on television, and this isn't for television, if I'm not interested in what you're saying, how the heck is the person watching it?
100%.
It's like...
Yeah, but they look at our reactions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, our reactions and our attentiveness to one another
impacts
matters.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I have been on set, dog, and legit not knowing what to say next because I wasn't listening to the person.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, they'll be talking,
yeah.
and I'll be like, dang, like, I wonder how Justin Herbert feels this morning, knowing that he threw for 384 and they lost. And then they're like, what you think, RC? I'm like, oh, shoot, Chargers are good.
Yeah,
and we talking about the Bears, you know what I mean? But I think that the thing, and I have to give ESPN credit for this, right? I remember when the idea was floated that NFL Live would have a crew.
Right.
It's like, I've worked here longer than anybody.
Right.
Like, I was part of the shuffling of it, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, dang, I don't want to get lost in that shuffle. You don't want to get lost in the shuffle of being a rotational guy.
Yeah.
Right? But then I remember when the team was picked. And I was like, they didn't pick me. You know what I mean? And like, you talk about like ego, I can be honest, like mine kicked in that day.
Sure.
Because I'm sitting there and it was almost like the Pro Bowl to me. And I'll say it from this situation or from this standpoint. I didn't think any of you shouldn't have been picked.
Sure.
I just thought I should have been too.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was my mindset. Like,
Yeah.
Mina belongs, Marcus belongs, Dan belongs. Obviously, Laura's the best host in TV, but I belong there.
No doubt.
And so like that was one of those things, like when I got to do Friday and like we loved Friday and then we all continue to get closer. And I was like, nah, man, I was like, I want to be a part of that. I was like, I feel like when you pick those people, you're saying those are the people that you want America to see every day represent you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a part of that. And that's what's been just absolutely amazing about this year, bro. But you're great, right? So you're great with touchscreens, telestrations, you're excellent on TV, and just simply giving your opinion and perspective. I think you're one of the best in the world calling games. Shoot, I've had people text me, actual coaches text me, hey man, do you have Dan's number? I'd love to tell him how great he's doing, which is dope. Like, I take pride in that.
No doubt.
Like, it ain't never me being like, nah, I ain't got Dan's number.
Right.
Hell yeah, let me connect
It's
you right now.
For sure.
Yeah, like, let me, so what's the goal for you? Like, when you think of your dream job with TV, what would that be? And if it's not that dream job, do you ever like get that itch, bro, to be in the locker room, to be in the meeting room, to be on the sideline?
I get the itch to be in the locker room, on a sideline, in a meeting room every single day.
Okay.
I look at television as being that very much so. Like, I'm teaching that in the regards. I got 4 kids. 3 of them are young boys that are 10. Like, right now, that's my locker room.
Right.
When I go coach, absolutely.
Hey, bro, I know that's the locker room, though.
Yeah, for sure. It smells like one, sounds like one.
Right.
Like, I would go coach for sure, but like, it's gonna have to be like a really good situation, like ideal situation. But I have that itch every day. What's my end goal? Like, so when I got into this, my goal was I wanted to be a trusted and respected voice when it came to talking about football.
Right.
And I hope that I've accomplished that.
Well, that's not even a question.
I think the goal is moving target, man. Like, we're in such an ever-changing media world, you know, where it's like, well, there's so many different...
Like, because it used to be, I got to get on the Sunday show.
For sure.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
I just think it's an ever-changing goal. I love calling games. I absolutely love it. I want to be on a very important game weekly.
I agree.
I don't know if it's the most important game.
I agree.
But a very important game weekly.
You can say it, and I'll say it. I mean, I say it, you won't say it. Bro, there's no way you should be in Starkville for Mississippi State Vanderbilt ever in life. No,
it's a tough trip.
Like, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
No way my dog should be sitting next to the toilet with brown and then have brown water in his hotel.
Brown water. Brown water in the shower, like, this ain't real,
You know
right?
what I'm saying?
That's after doing television Monday, Tuesday,
Right.
Wednesday. So yeah, that, and then, like, honestly, dude, like, I had this conversation with my wife because I'm in a contract here and all that stuff, and I had a conversation.
Oh yeah, we waiting on you to set the bar, coach. We waiting on you to set the free agent.
I'll do my
bar.
best.
Yeah,
I know what it's like to be Dak Prescott.
Hey, don't take a cent less.
Yeah, right.
Because we don't want to.
Like, I was having this conversation with my wife the other day, and it was like getting the opportunity to work with the people that I do on a daily basis, the Monday Get Up crew, and then the everyday NFL Live crew. I don't know if I could put a value on that, you know, like, I don't know if I could place a monetary value on that. And so that matters, you know, for me. And And am I going to be fulfilled work-wise in doing something else that might be greater?
For this.
Right, or with different people.
I got you.
Like throughout this, I don't know, kind of like 2 to 3 year journey, but certainly this year, like, you guys have become family. Like that show's
100%.
become family, right?
Also,
it's my locker room.
It's a show of underdogs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like none of us walk in as Hall of Famers.
Right.
And Mina is a woman.
Right.
Like you have to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, Mina's a woman in this world.
For sure.
And people
she's
are
a superstar.
Oh, she's a star.
Right.
But people are always gonna doubt her. People come at Laura, right? Marcus is gonna have his
Everyone's
thing.
hungry in a way.
Absolutely.
Innately hungry. So I don't know what the exact end goal is. I just want to continue to do good work and do good content and kind of set new standards. And I think we did that. Like I feel like we've set new standards every year. When certainly what I've been a part of, like Get Up, we set a new standard. Touchscreens, we set a new standard. You and I touchscreen this year, we set a new standard. So like every year we're starting a new thing that is becoming a new expectation and standard that no one else is doing.
Bro, what's so crazy is I was thinking about next season already, and I was like,
how are we gonna top it?
I was like, what can we do that this doesn't become? Because now it's expected that it's going to be great, right? It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be informative. But it was even like the day we had Marcus. Like that's a different layer. And the other part I think of too is like we have like the Monday Get Up crew or Get Up in general. It's been great, but we've never gotten out of character.
Right.
It's gotten better.
Right.
And we've gotten more chemistry, but it's never gotten out of character. Rex is always on brand. I'm always RC, And I think when we moved to First Take, like the first day, I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
Just because we aren't Stephen A. and Michael Irvin. Right. So the people that tuned in on Monday for that was going to get something totally different.
Yeah.
And like I remember leaving that day and being on the phone, and I was like, man, I just talked football 4 hours with my homeboy.
Yeah.
Like I never felt like I was working or I had to hold up some standard of what they were. Because I was talking to you.
I think the reception to it was real too as well. I said this to you on television the other day, and it's something I'm not good enough at yet. I think you and Marcus are the best at it that I work with. You guys are unapologetically unabashed yourself all the time. You don't say things to get reactions. You don't say things to get fan bases to like you.
But you know that because you talk to us all the time.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I gotta, that's something that I sit back and I watch and I have such an appreciation for because I'm not there yet. I'm not. And I think that's one of the things that is the best, one of your guys' best qualities. And that's why I think that people gravitate towards watching you guys. It's like, I may not like it and I may not agree with it, but I know he's not BSing me. And that's something that as a peer, I'm sitting there watching, how do I get better at that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, you're one of the best to do what you do, and I think one of the best to ever do it. But I just have one question. How do you fall in love with Carson and Baker, and we all know that Matt's your friend?
All right. So Matthew, my friendship matters. It does to me. Matthew is, I tell people all the time, Matthew's one of the best humans I've ever been around. Talented beyond words, but one of the best humans. And Matthew and I had shared conversations that I just hadn't shared with conversations.
Real life.
Yeah, real life. So there's an endearing factor. Is my judgment of Matthew Stafford clouded? Probably. Yeah. I've said this, if that's the case, then that's the case. I'm never going to turn my back on Matthew. I'm always going to ride with Matthew.
I'm with that. I'm like,
so that's a flaw. That's a professional flaw. I think the thing with Carson Wentz was this. My wife's from Philly.
Yeah.
When they had Philly and Dallas, I never knew what the rivalry was until I lived in Philadelphia with my wife, and Wentz and Dak in the same year and all that stuff. I probably got too emotionally attached to Carson Wentz. Never met him. Because of that Philadelphia connection. And the first year that I was in television.
You knew what that John was about.
Yeah, I knew what that John was about. That first year I was in television, it hit. I did the whole trash bag segment.
Yeah,
Carson Wentz. Yeah. You called me out on that as well. And I probably became too emotionally attached to it there. I was like, well, I can't turn my back on it now. I'm in. Right. I do think the appreciation on the field was Carson did things that I could never do. Matthew did as well, but Carson went talent-wise, physically. He just, and I marveled at it.
Second overall.
Yeah, I marveled at it, and I always believed that was going to be something that he consistently did and was, and I think that because it hit so early on, and I felt that rivalry between Cowboys fans and Dak Prescott, it was I was in. I was in. With Baker, I just think Baker's a good player. And, it goes back to a little bit of SRC too. Like when I first got into this, one of my goals was to get people to understand that there was a difference between great quarterbacks and awful quarterbacks.
Yes.
Some quarterbacks are just good.
Right.
You know, Tom Brady's not the only great one, and not every quarterback that's not great stinks.
It's terrible. I mean, that makes sense.
And there's other great coaches other than Bill Belichick as well, you know? And so, like, part of it was, like, to get people to understand, like, sometimes there's just good players.
Right.
Just because they're not the greatest or the best doesn't mean they suck.
Right.
You know, and I think that's my thing with Baker is, like...
Which we do sometimes, though.
For sure.
If you're not elite and we think you can win a Super Bowl, we really want to throw you away. We want to move on. Like
with college football playoff you.
Yeah, like, you know, Kirk Cousins has actually played really well this year. We never talk about it.
Good player.
But because he's in the middle, right? He's a good player. He almost, like, Kanye, who's going absolutely crazy now, like has a line in the song, and it's one of my favorite lines in any song. He says, everybody feels a way about Ye, but at least you feel something.
Yeah.
You kind of never, like the middle is a tough place. Like the middle is a tough place for us to analyze.
That's a good analogy.
You know what I'm saying? Like the middle is a tough place for us to analyze because it's like, yeah, Kurt, like I don't think he's terrible, but he's not great.
Right.
You know, and so
no one wants that though.
Right. And so that's the reason we stay on these sides of it. Yeah. Like if you can't be here, we almost have to talk about you like you here. But I think it's interesting to hear you say what you said about Carson because I get that. And I think my last question this before I let you go, man, who's the Super Bowl winner?
I think the Super Bowl winner is going to be, I'm going to say Tennessee. I've not rode them all season ignorantly, if they're healthy. Caveat that. They got the Monstars.
Two receivers in the running back.
They got to have the Monstars on the outside. I will say Tennessee, and I'm going to say... I'm going to say the Green Bay Packers.
Who wins?
I think they're in the Super Bowl. The Green Bay Packers.
All right, we take it. My dog.
Storybook ending.
My dog, I appreciate you, brother.
Man,
this
bro.
is amazing.
I love you, bro.
I love you too, my boy.
Underestimated and still I made it. In the book of hard knocks, I'm highly educated. Nobody chose me, looked over, but still dedicated. Played in the league for 13, I ain't gotta be favorite. 2 Super Bowls, Honolulu, I stood with the greatest. The thing is this, and never rich, I'm good with my neighbors. DB precision, television, ain't asked for no favors. Numbers don't lie, neither do pictures, just look in the papers. No backing down or turning back, part 2 of the movie. Never the biggest, but it takes more than 2 just to move me. Ain't gotta like what I'm saying, just watch me go to work. And tackle all of these topics right here on Face First.